The road wasn't on any modern map. Locals swore it never existed, but the tire tracks told a different story. The night was drowning in fog, and the cold wind that swept through the jungle carried whispers. Whispers that never belonged to the living. A lone vehicle crawled through the muddy, cracked path. Its headlights barely sliced through the suffocating darkness. Inside the car sat a silent figure. No name, no identity, only a pair of eyes fixed on the winding road ahead. The jungle on both sides seemed to shift, as though the trees had grown closer, bending toward the traveler. A weathered, hand-painted sign flickered past in the beam of light. Turn back before you forget who you are. But the figure didn't turn back. Curiosity was a heavier burden than fear. At the end of the road, shrouded in vines and suffocated by years of abandonment, stood the house. The house nobody built, the house nobody claimed, the house where shadows moved, even when nothing else did. The house stood like a forgotten sentinel, its timbers groaning under the weight of years of abandonment. No one had lived there for decades, but the stillness was unsettling, like it was waiting for something or someone. As the figure stepped closer, the air grew thick, dense with an unseen pressure. The jungle seemed to hold its breath, and even the wind stopped whispering. A faint scent of decay mixed with an overpowering stench of rot lingered in the air. The door creaked as the figure pushed it open. The darkness inside swallowed the faint light from the car's headlights, and for a moment, it felt like the house was alive, like it was breathing in sync with the figure's every step. The room inside was empty, save for the broken furniture and thick dust coating everything. But something was wrong. The shadows in the corners didn't move like normal shadows. They seemed to stretch and twist, as if trying to escape the walls. A single photograph hung crookedly on the wall, its edges frayed. The figure approached it cautiously. The photo was old, its colors faded, but the faces were still discernible. A family smiling, but their eyes were blank, hollow, faceless. Before they could process this eerie detail, a faint noise echoed from the second floor. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, as though someone or something was waiting. The figure hesitated, standing at the base of the creaky staircase. The footsteps above had stopped, but the air was thick with an unspoken presence. Something was in the house, watching, waiting. With every step the figure took toward the stairs, the temperature seemed to drop, the cold creeping in like icy fingers on the back of the neck. At the top of the stairs, a long hallway stretched before them, lined with doors that seemed to lead nowhere. One door stood ajar, a faint light flickering from within. The figure moved toward the door, heart pounding in their chest. The light flickered again, and they could hear muffled voices. As they entered the room, the sight before them was enough to freeze their blood. The walls were covered with dozens of photographs, each depicting a face, but none of them were complete. All of the faces had been scratched out, their features erased by time or something far more sinister. Yet, in every photo, the eyes stared back at the figure with an eerie intensity. Eyes that were not their own. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them, plunging the room into total darkness. The only sound was the figure's ragged breathing and the distinct sound of something or someone moving in the shadows. A whisper, barely audible, cut through the silence. "You shouldn't have come here." The figure spun around, but there was nothing. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, from the walls themselves. as if the house was speaking. The air grew colder, the temperature dropping so suddenly that the figure could see their own breath. Their eyes darted around, but no movement, no sign of anyone or anything. Then the ground beneath them began to rumble, a low, ominous sound that seemed to come from the very earth. The floorboards cracked, and a deep voice echoed from below. "We're already here." The figure stumbled back, heart racing, as the floorboard split open, revealing a hidden basement door. Without thinking, they rushed down the stairs, driven by an urge they couldn't explain. Inside the basement, the room was darker than the rest, and the smell of decay grew stronger. But there, in the center of the room, lay a large, ornate mirror. The glass was fogged, cracked, and yet the reflection staring back wasn't their own. It was the figure's face, but it was wrong. It was distorted, with hollow eyes and a twisted grin. Before the figure could react, the whisper returned, now a guttural growl. "You're already one of us." The figure tried to run, but the walls seemed to close in. The door slammed shut with a deafening noise, trapping them inside. With each passing second, the house grew more alive. The floorboards groaned under invisible feet, and the walls pulsated like a heartbeat. The house, once abandoned, had taken on a life of its own, and now it was hunting. Through the cracks in the walls, the figure saw shadows moving, shapes that should not have existed crawling across the room. And then, the true horror revealed itself. A voice, now clear and unmistakable, echoed from every corner of the house. "You're not leaving. You never left." As the figure turned to face the mirror once again, they saw it, the truth. Their face had vanished, replaced by the hollow, faceless gaze of the very thing that had taken over the house. The house had consumed them. Before the darkness fully consumed the figure, a final text appeared on the screen of their phone. "It's too late. The house is watching." And somewhere deep in the jungle, the house stood waiting for the next soul to wander in, for the next face to erase.